Hi folks, and welcome back to Fishing with Den. Well, today I've decided to have a little bit of a pleasure day down at my local pond. Anyone that watches my channel regularly know I call this Den's Pond. It's a natural pond and I'm the only one that pretty much fishes it, so it doesn't get any real pressure. But today I'm going to use a pole and I'm going to see if I can approach it in a bit more of a match style, where I start by fishing out in front of me at about 11 meters, and then I'm going to try and do some more margin fishing, but in a slightly different way to what I've mentioned before. Previously I would have just thrown some bait in down in the margins, left it for an hour or two and then gone in over it just to see what's there. This time I'm going to follow what Jamie Hughes, a well-known matchman in the UK, does with smaller amounts of bait and just potting them in. It may or may not work, but everything's worth a go, and if it works better than what I was doing before, then that helps you to win matches. Or even if I'm not fishing matches, it just helps me to catch more fish. First of all, I'm just going to get on with fishing the main pole line for an hour or two until it gets towards sort of lunchtime-ish. Before I finish on this bit, let me just show you the swim. There we go. Regulars will know this one. It's probably 200 or 300 meters, pretty triangular shaped. I'm going to fish just out there towards that tree on the far bank, 11 meters, and I will have a second swim probably at some point just a bit further this way. Then, when I'm ready, I haven't put any bait in at all down there, but I've got that swim just to my right by those succulent plants there. Not sure what they're called, but whatever they are, they seem like a good place to hold fish. Now, it's not very deep down the edge down here. I have been seeing fish down the edge today, but I don't know if you can actually see. Sorry, that's the stick moving. There we go. Very shallow down the edge. I've only got 30 inches when I'm out at 11 meters, and I've also got this one down this side. Now, this down the edge is only a few inches, so I may not be able to get close enough to get a reasonable amount of water. But to be honest, because I'm left-handed anyway, fishing down to my right is going to be easier for me because it's just a natural way to hold the pole. Anyway, let's crack on and see if we can catch a few fish, shall we? Okay, well, to start off with then, I'm just going to feed through this very small pot. I'm using a 16 solid elastic. This is a 0.4 of a gram float, strung out shotting pattern, and I've just put a single piece of sweet corn on the hook. I've plumbed the depth and we've got, hang on, 9, 18, 30 inches of depth in total, and my baits just fell off, so I'll put some more on. And I'm just going to feed through the pole pot today. So let's just stretch that out a bit. Just a few pellets, tiny little amount of sweet corn, and I found that at just about 11 meters I've got a slight drop off. It's hardly anything, but it's something, so that's where I'm going to fish. I've had to set up my pole roller quite high up the back because I've got a steep bank up behind me, so it's taking care as I ship this out. Now, at the moment I do seem to have quite a lot of line between the top of the pole and the float, but that's only because I'd missed doing it just a second ago, so I'll probably get round to shortening that very soon. But just for now, let's put it in and see what we end up with. Okay. Well, that's not bad. First go. And straight into a fish. Didn't feel like a huge fish, and in fact the fish in here, the biggest I've ever had out was probably about 11 pounds. But you get all sorts of ranges of fish from sort of 4 to 6 ounces, but generally they'd be in the sort of 2 pounds, 3 pounds range. There we go. Only a small fish, this one. I could probably use a smaller strength elastic, but the trouble is that you really just don't know what you're going to end up with, and it could easily be an 11 pounder. So I've kind of staying with the 16 because it's only a pleasure day and it's working fine. This one's probably, I don't know, about a pound or so, I suppose. Nice little fish. Good start. Barbless hook as usual. Beautiful condition. Okay, another piece of sweet corn. Now, the fish in here don't really see baits all that often because this is a natural pond, as I'm sure the regular viewers will be aware. And so sometimes I find that if I try and feed too much, we end up in a situation where I scare fish off. So I'm just going to feel my way in, see how we go. I must shorten that line from the pole tip in a minute. Using that tree across the road there as a marker. But that's not bad, was it, for the first cast, first fish? Always nice to get one in early. Getting 1 or 2 knocks again already. Yeah, there we go again. Why do they always want to fight right where your bait is? Caught around his dorsal fin. There we go. Probably about the same size. At least he's unhooked it from the dorsal fin now. That's good. Oops. Nicely in the lip. All about the same size so far. Alright, well I've shortened off the length of line from the pole tip to the float, but I'm going to keep it a reasonable length because it looks like the wind's getting up today. And you also notice I've got a back shot on. That's a number 6 shot, and you'll notice as well that I've put it on so that the distance from here to here is shorter than the distance from here to here. Reason being, that's going to sink the line, and if the shot was here, that'll probably help to sink the float as well. So by putting it there, it basically holds down there, sinks the line, but keeps the float in its normal position. Anyway, back to the fishing then. 2 already. I'm going to put a little bit more feed in, tiny little amounts. There we go. Let's get back out there. Have to be a bit careful when you're shipping out with the very small pole pots. Quite often they do come with a kind of a lid with an opening in them, but once you've done it for a while you'll get used to just getting it out without dropping any. Having said that, of course, from time to time we probably all drop some, and it's not something you want, but it's something that tends to happen. Okay, nearly there, so we're out at 9 meters. And out to the tree, exactly where I want it. Drop the rig back in. Away we go. I've been a bit lazy today. I'm using the pole holder on the box. I want my hands free to do other things like filming and stuff, so this will be fine for today. But normally if it was a match I would actually be holding the pole in the proper way. Oh, this one's woken up. See all the mud being kicked up on the bottom here. It's really shallow in the edge, so I don't know how well we'll do with the margin fishing later on, but I want to give it a go because it's good fun. And anyway, the swim out there may just die a little bit, and I need to just rotate swims a little bit to keep the thing going till I finish fishing. There we go. I thought this one had swallowed it, but it looks like it's, oh yeah, under his chin. I have found in this place that once I've caught a few fish from a particular area of the swim, they do actually seem to get a bit spooky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a second area. I'm going to try and keep the 2 swims going. You don't want any more than 2 swims that you've got to actively feed all the time, really, because it's just too much aggravation trying to feed that many different swims. But a couple of swims at the same sort of point, so as you can see, 11 metres out and across to the tree, and I'll come back to that one over there just shortly. Just keep rotating them, feed them alternately, and hopefully keep the fish going a bit longer before I go down the margins. Something happening, could just be liners. Yep, there we go. Ooh, he's taken off, hasn't he? Well, this one's obviously a bit bigger. I'm only using an 0.15 bottom at the moment to a size 16 hook because of the size of the fish generally, but they seem to be coping quite well. I'm trying a new fluorocarbon line out on the hook length, so apparently it's supposed to be invisible to fish, but then years ago that's what they said about Maxima fishing line. In fact, they still do say about that, but I'm always a bit dubious with any of these claims, especially as I get older. Right, come on fish, where are you? Yeah, that's somewhat bigger than the last ones. You're probably looking at 3 pounds or so on this one. Get him entangled around all his fins. There we go. And just in his mouth, quite nicely. Bit bigger. A huge pile of bubbles just came around the float, and the float did it a bit, so there's obviously something down there. Now all I've got to do is to get them to take the bait. I probably shouldn't tell you this, folks, but I just looked away because I was checking my car, and I looked back and the pole was bending into the water, and the fish had taken off. And I only looked away for a split second, but it just goes to show you can't even do that sometimes. Oh dear, height of incompetence then, height of incompetence. Nice little fish though. There we go. Full of beans. Full of something anyway. They always seem to flop over on your line. Okay. Probably only about £3 again. Right. Well, we're having a few now anyway. Very enjoyable session so far. Yep, certainly coming thick and fast now. But I know I can catch out here, so very shortly I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up the rigs for down the edge and just see how we go. I've been here for about an hour and a half now, so we'll see how that goes. It's interesting to see how commercial tactics work on a natural venue like this down in the edge. Well, whether they do or not, either way, if nothing else, I've had plenty of fish from out in the main swims there, so we'll see how we go from that. And of course the hook's gone through his lip and into the net. There we go. Easy fix when you've got a barbless hook. Okay, so I'm going to give the margin fishing a bit of a go now. As you can see, I've made myself a margin float. I've actually done a couple of these, one for slightly deeper and one for slightly shallower, but I'm just going to try this first of all to see how we go. Balsa wood, 2mm cane, and this is 0.8 of a millimetre piano wire effectively, which I've painted and varnished. Haven't put an eye on this one because these things end up in the net, as you can see, with the fish, and they get a lot of heavy duty treatment. So rather than put an eye on it, I've just left the eye off. I'm using just a float rubber. We're going to be over the top of it anyway, like so, so it's not really going to cause me any issues, and if I break the float rubber I can soon replace it. I've plumbed the depth and I've probably got something like 18 inches, but unfortunately down in the edge there underneath that I've probably only got about 3 inches. As I go out it does sort of get a little bit deeper, but then it shelves off a bit, and so where that telegraph pole is over there, I've actually got this depth and I'm fishing at the bottom of the shelf. So that's the idea. I'm going to fish at that to start with, and I'm going to put a little bit of bait in through the pole pot and just see how things go. You notice I'm not squeezing the ground bait, it's just going into the pot just as it is. A little bit of a tamp down. I'm going to put a couple of bits of pellet in there. I haven't got any small pellets with me, but I'm going to just do it like this. And I'm going to ship out to the desired position, which is exactly on the end of my pole here and in line with that telegraph pole there. I'm going to put the bait in here so it all goes down in one heap, and I've got the markers that I need. I'm going to leave that for a few minutes, see what happens, and then we'll come back and give it a go. Okay, we're giving it 10 minutes for that ground bait to do its magic. So let's put a bait in and see what happens. Just to start off with, I'm not going to put any more bait in. I just want to see if there's anything actually down there as we speak. About 9 meters to my right. So put my hand on the joint, aim at the telegraph pole, and let's see how we go from there. Well, nothing so far. I think we'll bring it in, we'll put some more ground bait in the pot and go back out and see if we can entice a bite that way. Couple of pellets. No sweet corn this time. Yes. Well, here we go. Came towards me rather than away from me, but hey, here's the first fish in the margin. Kind of acrobatic, this one. Well, very satisfying. Apart from the fact that it swallowed it. Oh well. Not bad, eh? Oh, that was taken off. No idea where exactly he is, somewhere out there. Oh, that's a bigger fish. Didn't want to come in, he's staying right out there, look. Well, there's nothing really big in this pond, but this is one of the bigger ones that I said. Well, that took a while. Not bad, eh? So, there you go then, folks. That's another one done. As I said at the start, I did this one based on sort of practicing for a match. Now, I've fed all day, just feeding through a very small pole pot, just to keep the feed really tight, and obviously, therefore, I could sort of determine exactly what I was going to put in and exactly where I was going to put it. Caught really well out on the main line. Unfortunately, down on the margin line, didn't do so well, only had one fish down there. But of course, part of the reason for that is that the water level is still really low and it's just too shallow at the moment. So, not deterred by that. I'll come back again and do the margin fishing once the level's back up to normal. Anyway, as I say, that's it for another one. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, click the like button. If you want to subscribe, you can do that too. And until the next time, bye for now.